All right, time to bring Mr. Gavaskar into the show. Mr. Gavaskar, thanks so much for joining us again here on NDTV, sir. Good to have you on the show again. First up, I have to admit that one thing that a lot of cricket fans are scratching their heads over currently is the pitch in Ranchi. Now, according to most of the reports that came out before the test match began, this was a pitch that was supposed to turn square from the first over of day one. A lot of people said the match might be over in 3 days, and here you have Australia going and scoring 450 runs, India then scripting a solid reply. Your takes are on the way the pitch is behaving.
Well, first and foremost, let me tell you one thing, nobody, not even those who have played 150 test matches can accurately read the pitch. The pitches, even though the curator will try and tell you that this is a sporting pitch, even he can't actually tell you how the pitch is going to behave. So this is what has happened. We have a look at the pitch. From the look of the pitch, sometimes you can make out that the pitch is going to start turning. From the look, sometimes can deceive you, as it did in this instance. Because this was like a sort of darkish color, just like the color we had in Pune, and therefore I think a lot of people jumped to conclusions that it would be turning from day one. It hasn't quite happened. Frankly, this pitch is just like your normal Ranji Trophy pitch which you get in domestic cricket. This is the pitch where the cracks are very, very small. There are no big plates. The big plates which you see overseas, like in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, was in Bangalore and also in Pune. And while the Pune pitch was attended to by an Indian curator, when you take the help of overseas curators to lay a pitch, to lay the foundation, sometimes those plates will be big because they prepare the pitch as they prepare the pitches back home in their country. So yes, I think just about everybody misread the pitch, but the Australians capitalized on winning the toss and piled up 451 runs. And thanks to another brilliant innings from their skipper, Steve Smith.
Absolutely. It was a very, very good toss to win for Australia and for Steve Smith. But going by what we have seen so far in the 2 days of play that we've had, Mr. Gavaskar, would you say that a draw is looking very possible perhaps? Or do you see the bowlers having a say in the remaining 3 days?
Well, I think we had something similar during the England series. England's batting first and scoring 400 runs and then eventually ending up losing the match, as India replying to their 400, 450 plus, India would reply with 600, 600 plus, and then therefore put the pressure back on the team that had batted first. So this could possibly happen again. But for that to happen, somebody in the Indian team has to have a real big innings, as big an innings as the Australian captain Steve Smith. Because then only I think you can say that India will, at this particular point of time, Australia are on top. Because India is still 350 runs behind. So Australia is certainly on top at this stage. So India will have to bat very well tomorrow and try and get maybe to the Australian total by tomorrow. If they score 300 runs in a day, they'll get towards the Australian total.
All right, let's talk about individual players now, sir, and talking about one player who batted really well on day 2, Rahul. Now, here's someone you would say who's shaping up as one of the better openers that Indian cricket has had in recent times. He's scored, 5 50s and 4 centuries in his 16 tests so far. And also, like most good batsmen, and something I know that you appreciate a lot, sir, he puts a price on his wicket. He was really disappointed when he got out on day 2.
Yes, I think it was a very good bouncer from Pat Cummins, something which he had to play at, and unfortunately for him it just got the glove and it went to the wicketkeeper. But he's got to maybe look at playing some of the innings that he's played in Ranji Trophy. Some of the Ranji Trophy innings, he scored 200 plus because he's applied himself. He hasn't relaxed. He hasn't tried to play too many shots. I think what we've seen in these 2 test matches is that he's looked to play too many shots as soon as he's got to about 30, 40. And therefore he's got out in the 60s. Today, of course, was a terrific delivery. I think a lot of batsmen, as tall as he, would have struggled with that kind of a short delivery. Maybe a shorter batsman would have been able to get under it, but because he's tall, I think he got stuck and got out. But 550s in his innings, 450s in 5 innings is, I think, fantastic.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a player who wasn't on the field on day 2, sir, but of course is a key player in whenever India plays, and that's Virat Kohli. If Virat doesn't manage to come out to bat at number 4, do you think that's going to make a difference overall to India's innings?
I don't think he should bat at number 4 because look, the injury is maybe not very, very serious, but a man who loves to be on the field, the fact that he wasn't on the field means that the injury is a little more than what it's given out as. And therefore, I think if he can rest completely, and which will depend on the Indian batsman, then he can be fit for the next test. This is what I think the Indian batsman should look to do. And that Virat Kohli should come into bat only if it is needed. Only if the situation is a dire situation where India have suddenly collapsed, don't have too many runs, and they need to ensure that the Australians don't take a big lead, that then and only then should Virat Kohli come into bat. Otherwise, Rahane 4, Karun, Nair 5, Ashwin, Saha at 6, 7, if they bat responsibly, because this is a good pitch to bat on still. There's not much turn there. The ball's not seaming or bouncing awkwardly.
Right.
So this is a pitch where if India bat the whole day tomorrow, I think Virat Kohli will be given an extra day's rest to recover.
All right, interesting point that Mr. Gavaskar makes over there, that Virat should come out to bat only if India need him to go out there and bat, and that he shouldn't in any case aggravate that injury of his. Let's talk about the Aussies now, sir. Of course, Stephen Smith is someone that we've spoken about so much. So let's talk about Glenn Maxwell, the other man who scored a century, a maiden test century for him. And he's also one of those players who's trying to prove that he's not just an effective limited overs player only.
I think he's done a very good job of proving he's not just a limited overs player. I know it is just one innings, but the way he approached that innings is really, really praiseworthy. Now here is a man who's got all the shots in the book, who scores at more than a runner ball, and the way he applied himself, the way the patience that he showed, along with the skipper, he realized at that stage they were 140 for 4 when he came into bat. And if he had departed early, who knows, India could have wrapped the innings up by 270 or thereabouts, or maybe even lesser than that. So it was the realization that he had to, keep his shots, all the shots in the book, in cold storage,
right,
and open his shoulders only after he got to 60, 70, which shows an understanding of the game, understanding of the position his team was in, understanding the situation. And when a person does that, then you can clearly say that, look, he's temperamentally coming good as well. And we all know that he's got the talent. That's why he's called the big show. It's the temperament which has been a question mark. I think today he answered it very, very positively.
All right, we just have about 20 seconds left, and very quickly, sir, one final question. On day 3, how would you like Cheteshwar, Pujara and Murali, Vijay to go about their business?
Well, play themselves in to start with, and then stay as long as possible. If they can bat maybe even the whole day, they'll take India close to the Australian total. And that's what Virat Kohli and everybody would want, because at this stage, you want to be in a situation where you want to make sure that the Australians don't get a big lead in the first innings.
Absolutely. All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Mr. Gavaskar, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And we'll, of course, see you again after day 3's play in the Ranchi Test. Thanks so much for joining us.